Hey, this is Jason Moss with the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance and Manufacturing News Network. Welcome to another edition of our Member Spotlight series. Today, we've got a great friend, longtime partner with GMA and great advisor to our organization, Mr. Beau Groover. Beau's the founder and head coach of the Effective Syndicate. And welcome to the program, Beau.
Thanks, Jason. Always good to hang out with you, my friend.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. It's going to be a fun day. I've got a little bit of insider information. We've done a little bit of pre-show chat about some of the things that we're going to go over today. So it's going to be a fantastic episode today. So, but before we get started, Beau, I've noticed something after you turned the camera on. It looks like you got a little shiner there, man. Tell me a little bit about that.
I do. You see it? I'm kind of proud of it. So my current, other than running the company, passion is karate.
Okay.
And I take full contact karate, and we were sparring. Actually, it was my son. Okay. And our instructor had just shown us a new move. So we were, it's like, all right, let's just go slow. And it's a very up close kind of move. And he did the move and tagged me right in the eye with his elbow and promptly started laughing.
Nice. I love it. That's a fun age, 11 years old. I've got, people always give me a hard time about kind of the way I explain being a father. I was not a big fan of the first 6 months of being a father because it was like Wesley was so tiny, man. I was afraid that I was going to break him. He was just a little dude, and I was like, man, this is, I couldn't put him back, right. So, but I was like, but after that, every year has been the best year. Now Wesley's 22.
Yep.
And so each year, they learn new stuff. And 11, man, that's a fun time.
It is. It's a good time. He's a good kid.
Yeah, fun time to watch him grow, man. It's really cool. Well, speaking of growing, tell me a little bit about Beau Groover. Tell me a little bit about your backstory. Where you come from? Where was home, and where is home now?
Okay, sure thing. So I was born in Alabama.
Okay.
I was born in Huntsville, but grew up in Anniston, which is almost in between Atlanta and Birmingham. Mm-hmm. And then moved. My parents got the moving bug, so I moved for a couple of years to North Carolina, a couple of years to South Carolina, and then Athens, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Go Georgia Bulldogs.
Go Dogs. Yep.
Go 2021, I guess it looks like.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Atlanta. I've lived in Atlanta since 1991.
Okay.
So 29 years, more than half my life. So Atlanta is certainly home. I live here with my wife, and we've got 2 kids. Mm-hmm. So just right in the heart of the state.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, good deal. I always like to kind of find out where the backstory is. Find out a little bit about that piece. But I don't waste a whole lot of time. But what I'd like to do is kind of dig in, and I want you to tell me about what the Effective Syndicate is. Overall, give me a kind of a general breakdown of what it is that you guys do, and I think you mentioned something a little bit about some new products. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in your space and who you are as a foundation.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, and appreciate the chance to chat with you. We're a business coaching firm. We focus primarily on manufacturing, but we do support all of the operations companies, and our target is to help companies run to their potential.
Okay. Now you said coaching, so tell me a little bit. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with the term, consulting in this space typically, but tell me a little bit about the coaching side of it.
Yeah. So from our personal experience and also from what our customers tell us, the consulting idea doesn't really line up with what we want to do. Mm-hmm. We hear that the consultants, they might go in the conference room and help them create a bunch of lists. They talk to a very small group of people in the organization. And when they leave, they basically hand them a task list to go do on top of the stuff that they were struggling to get done earlier.
Right. Great ideas, right?
Yeah. Here's another list of stuff that you don't have time to go do, but good luck with that.
Right.
And so our approach, we want to help our companies build systems and structures, and we do it with them. So it's not like we're in the conference room and we tell them good luck. We kind of stand beside them in their shoes. We look at the same things that they're seeing, and we guide them through that. Instead of just pointing towards the fish, we're teaching companies how to fish, to use the old cliche.
I got you. Good deal. Well, as I was digging into, again, a little bit more updated research on some of the things that you're doing, your motto. Tell us what your motto is about the helping companies run to their potential. What's that all about? How'd you come up with that?
Well, it was very, very fun. We were at an offsite strategy session.
Okay.
And, it's kind of a double meaning, right? So for me personally, I'm always trying to get better. I want to be better than I was last week. Just as you mentioned with Wesley, right? Every year he learns something new and he's growing, and that's exciting. So I'm wired that way. And at our offsite, we realize that most companies have everything they need to be successful. And they don't always realize that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're working with them to do is help them recognize that they've done a lot of good stuff. They should be proud of it. They should feel confident. What they're missing is just a little bit of expertise or a little bit of bandwidth or a little bit of knowledge that we can bring with them to help them break through those barriers. So we're helping them run to their potential.
Okay. And that's one of the things, again, breaking through the barriers. It's one of the topics that we're, as we're sort of chatting through those today, it's one of the pieces we're going to circle back around and dig into a little bit more in a minute. But I've noticed you mentioned systems. Now I'm a if you're in the manufacturing space, you're accustomed to that philosophy. And so tell me a little bit about your vantage, your perspective on systems and why they're important, especially in the leadership capacity.
Yeah. And it's so crucial, right? I know that you and I are both fans of the United States military, right? Because they drive systems, they drive discipline, they drive processes.
Right.
And so the alternative to having a system is that I'm completely in reactive mode. I'm firefighting, I'm chasing problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we want to do is help organizations look at it and say, look, there's a system that could do this. And the target is to manage the system. Right? Not trying to manage human beings, but let's manage the system.
Okay.
So firefighting is not scalable unless you just keep hiring people and eventually, your payroll is too much.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you take a step back and you design and define how is the system supposed to work, let's put that in place. And then let's teach people how to manage and sustain that system. They've got a much better chance of being successful.
Mm-hmm.
And as people come and go, I plug them into the system, right? It's the New England Patriots model.
Right.
Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. I guarantee you the New England Patriots, whenever we play football again, is going to have a really stinking good team, even though Tom Brady has moved on, because it's a system. They're going to plug somebody in. And that's the same mentality that we're helping our manufacturing clients develop.
And there's lots of systems out there. I'm an avid reader, as you know, man. I've, on my 50th birthday, I had a friend, they did a little video thing, and she said, the one thing I know about Jason Moss is he's got a book for everything. Right. And that's cool. For me, that was a huge honor. She was digging a little bit, but that's okay. But there's so many systems and so many programs and philosophies. What are some of the, like foundation? What's the core? What is the effective syndicate? What's the the bedrock of where that comes from? What does it look like to talk about systems with you?
Absolutely. So we look at three, what we call driver systems, right? So there's the people system, there's the process system, and then there's the platform system.
Okay.
The people, how do you hire? How do you train? How do you coach? How do you lead? How do you develop? How do you manage? How do you hold people accountable?
Mm-hmm.
That cultural, the real hardcore cultural side is the people side.
Right.
The process side is rooted in Lean Six Sigma,
mm-hmm.
Standard work, visual management, pull systems, those kind of core good manufacturing practices, if you will.
Okay.
And then the platform is what's the information system behind it? So what is the IT? What is the data set? What is how easy is the system to navigate for your people? Are your people using it or working around it because it's such a pain in the neck?
Right.
So those are the three systems that we approach our clients with.
Okay. And you talked a little bit about the operational systems, Lean, maybe. If you guys, what's your experience in that space? Lean and Six Sigma, what's your, again, a little bit of foundation there?
Yeah. It purely by accidental, Jason. I was in the right place at the right time or the wrong place at the right time. I don't know which it was, but I was working for a manufacturing company. At the time, the CEO read the book Lean Thinking and went to a seminar and came back all fired up. He suggested that we all read the book. And when the CEO suggests you read a book, you read the book.
Right.
So read the book. I was the inventory control manager. Ironically, inventory is one of the biggest wastes, biggest expenses in a lot of companies. So kind of fell in love with it. and that was in 2001. And for the last 19 years, I have done nothing except Lean Six Sigma. So I had a 7-year stint where I was trained by an ex-Toyota Tier 1 supplier.
Okay.
And then I got my black belt, and then I got my master black belt, and then I got Lean certified from the Association of Manufacturing Excellence. So
That's a
it's certainly
lean
more
journey.
than I'm sorry.
I said, now that's a lean journey.
Yeah, it's more than a career. It's almost a mindset. I used to call it almost a religion, but I think
Right.
that's kind of not blasphemous, but
Right.
not good to say, right? So
Right.
it's a mindset of,
Mhm.
again, running to your potential. How do I continually get better?
I got you.
Yeah, so it's where my heart is for sure.
I love that. I love that. Well, one of the other pieces that we talked about is kind of digging in for leadership development. Again, I'm an avid student. I want to figure out how I can be a better a resource for the folks that I touch and that are working with me and that sort of thing. So we talked about how businesses maybe can break through. What are your insights on maybe some strategies to help businesses break through some of the plateaus in leadership? What are some of the things you kind of would recommend in that space when companies are just banging their head on the wall or ceiling trying to figure out what's next?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the leadership part is certainly a big part. It's typically where we start. A
Okay.
lot of our client relationships start out with they reach out because they want Lean Six Sigma help because they're
Okay.
more versed in that. There's a lot of books on it. There's a lot of information, and when we engage and we start applying our diagnostic instruments, we'll usually uncover some leadership opportunities, or we call them people opportunities.
Right. Right.
Um, and so there's a whole line of thinking around how do I coach
Right.
effectively, and a lot of companies don't know how to do that well. And
Okay.
so we're hiring the coach's coach basically to show them the way of here's how you develop leadership, not only for yourself. So we start with self-leadership, but also leading, a team of others. So lead yourself first, then lead others.
Mm-hmm.
Know yourself first, know others. And that's really where the leadership part starts, is how do you treat others with respect and empathy, and also hold them accountable, which is kind of that dichotomy of leadership that
Sure.
we're all in pursuit of, right?
Right. 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 Yeah, good friend of mine told me many years ago. He said, "Leader of one, leader of many. If you can't lead one, you can't lead any." So if you're not working on yourself, figuring out what sort of the next steps are, what can you do to be a better person, it's kind of hard to encourage your folks or give them the guidance on how they can be the best, the best person, best employee, best partner that you can have. So, I wonder really why companies don't take more companies take that approach on leadership first. And now for me, I mean, just standing back looking at it, it's if I engaged with somebody to help me grow my business in the manufacturing space, it's obvious that I would want to, do something that I can put some metrics around, right? So Lean Six Sigma, can I help increase productivity and throughput, and what are the things that I can do in the lean space? But the leadership piece, if like you said, if you don't get that piece right on the beginning, man, it can be tricky. I wonder why other folks in the consulting arena, I hate to use that, but the coaching arena, don't come in from that angle.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some reasons. I think it's hard, right? I think there's some discomfort with knowing, all right, and we're in that weird space where we're so concerned with hurting people's feelings,
Right.
that I think a lot of people just don't know how to do it, right? And
Right.
so what we end up with is, I ignore poor behavior, but I'll address you aggressively if you're not turning in the report on time, or
Huh. Interesting.
I don't watch the interactions of my team and engage with how they're interacting or not.
Right.
But I'm happy to beat them up if they're late on a project.
Okay.
So, what becomes from the employee's perspective is, well, I don't think he really cares about me, but man, if I don't get the report done on time, so all I care about is the report. Screw anybody I got to piss off to get this thing done. I got to go and get this thing done because that's all that my boss cares about.
Right.
I think from the, we take this holistic people, process, and platform approach. I think most companies don't do that because most consulting companies were started by a person with a particular expertise.
Okay.
And they've built the organization around that expertise. Whereas because I've been in manufacturing, I ran a manufacturing plant for 6 years. I know that one slice of this thing is not going to get me from where I am to amazing. It's going to get me slightly better. But if I take this holistic thing and say, all right, how do these three driver engines work together?
Right.
And if I get them harmonized, good stuff's going to happen. But I think most consulting firms are started by one person and they just never get off that track.
Right. Right. They take that one piece that they know and they just, yeah, if all you got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
I love that saying. It's so true, man. It's so true.
Yeah, some days. Well, and tell me a little bit about your organization, your team, the folks that you work with, the folks that you engage. Tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely, man. I've got an amazing team.
Okay.
And hopefully most leaders would say that, but I'm very, very honored to have the folks with me. I've got an organizational psychologist that I work with on the team, and he leads the people side, right? He's the people driver.
Right.
We have a Lean Six Sigma expert who is actually a quality leader at Toyota Georgetown, right? So
Okay.
Toyota's kind of the mecca of lean. This guy grew up at the mecca, so he's plugged in. And then we have a chief technology or chief information officer that drives our platform. So, we built this by design. We sought out the people that we kept hearing from our clients. Hey, I need help in this area. So over the last 5 years, we've built this organization. So again, we have this very holistic approach that we bring to the clients.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Well, speaking of clients, tell me a little bit about your clients. I mean, who are some of those folks that you work with? Who can you best serve?
Well, I'm sure you would agree, Jason, the manufacturing clan of people are a special group.
They are. We got a special crew for sure.
They're driven, they're focused, they're motivated, they work hard, they ain't scared of nothing.
Right.
And so our target market, I'm sure, is the same as your target market, right? I think that's why you and I have such great synergy is they're competitive leaders. They want to win. They want to go to that next level. And as soon as they get to that next level, they're trying to figure out what's the next level after this.
Right.
And in some cases, they're, I don't know if frustrated is the right word, but maybe a little bit of like, oh gosh, man, why can't I figure this one thing out, right? I'm stuck. I know this is a pain. I know my people are suffering from it. And so those folks who are maybe feeling that little bit of frustration, they want to win, they're driven to win. And generally they will welcome us as a fresh set of eyes, a strategic partner, a sounding board, and a guide to, figure out that next step that they're trying to take. And we help them do that.
Right. Right. And I tell you, that's one of the reasons that I have so much fun in GMA is, pre-COVID, right? I think half the statements that I make these days are pre-COVID. This is what it looked like, right? But pre-COVID, we hosted, we had the 12 months leading up to February. We hosted about 120 events, live events. And so many of those are really designed, like you said, if you can get somebody kind of out of their space and get them the opportunity to see a new process or practice, or I love sharing best practices. That's the core reason that we're doing this podcast is for manufacturing leaders and the folks that serve them that are successful in that space to be able to share best practices with other people. Man, that's magic. Because if I can lay my head down on a pillow at night and know that I helped one person just avoid one landmine in their business, you're right, man, it's worth it. All this stuff is worth it. And so now I have noticed that in my experience with manufacturers, they tend to be they're very, like a lot of the great things that you said, very loyal, very focused. I love hanging around really smart people and watch how they come up with solutions to tough problems, right? With that comes some of the, there's the other side of the coin. They tend to be a little bit hard-headed, So what do you see about, how do you engage different personalities in the space? So.
Yeah. The ones who want to get better, even though they may be hard-headed and driven, the ones who get better are okay with that, right? A lot of business leaders don't have a coach.
Yes.
And, you think about Tom Brady has a coach, Michael Jordan had a coach, Tiger Woods had a coach. I mean, the best of the best, if you think about the sports world, still have coaches.
Yes. Yep.
And so when they recognize this through our conversations and through our discussions, is like, "Man, I don't have a sounding board, right? I can't talk to the people that work for me about the things I'm worried about.
Yeah.
So I can only go up. Well, if I'm running the organization, I don't have an up,
Right.
or my boss is somewhere else, right, in another state.
Right.
And so
There's some things you
generally,
don't want to take to the board, right?
yeah, there's some things you don't want to, air out to the general whatever
Right.
the population is. So those folks who are aggressive and driven and want to get better are pretty excited to have somebody to, serve as a confidant and serve as an outside perspective. And hey, call them out sometimes. Hey, dude, that's not a good way to think about this problem. Let's look at it from this perspective.
Sure. Sure.
So even though they're driven and hard set and maybe a little hard headed, for the most part, they really like having somebody to turn to and hey, let's work on this thing together, because I don't know what to do next. I'm on this plateau. I know where I am, but I don't know what to do next.
Right. Right. I got you. Well, what would a typical engagement look like? What would kind of give me frame that up for me?
Yeah, we start with a really thorough current state, right? So the old phrase rose-colored glasses, so everything looks kind of rosy, comes to mind. Some people think that things are better than they are. Sometimes they think they're worse than they are, but we try to help the client get to a really solid and realistic current state. Where are you right now?
Right now.
Not your idea right now, not your wish list of right. Where are you? And then we start working on the future state, and then what's missing? What's in between where you are and where you want to be, because that's the basis of the roadmap, right? That's how we're going to figure out how to get to where you want to be.
Right. Right. I tell you, I mean, I've done that a few times in my life, personally, and just looked at and figured out, okay, so this is where I want it to be. But in life and in business, if you don't have that foundation, if you don't have that reality check to find out what is accurate, what your current status is, there's no way you can build on anything until you get that foundation.
That's right.
I mean, I think that's, again, a cornerstone of making that work. Now, it does, if companies do that, once you go through that piece, what do you see is next after that? I mean, what's the next step once you get that foundation and do the evaluation, get that baseline?
So the evaluation, we talk to as many people as we can in the organization, right? We want to get a pulse of the company. How are people in general feeling? Not just the boss,
okay,
not just the person, the leader that brought us in, but in overall, how are people feeling?
Right. We
also have a survey instrument that we give, and we say, the whole organization takes this survey, and then we bring this data back.
Okay.
We'll do a financial review, and then we'll look at their key performance indicators. So this, again, it's a holistic thing, because what we're trying to avoid, and we see a lot of leaders do, is they're trying to fix a symptom, right?
Okay.
Poor quality is a symptom of a poor system. Poor throughput is a symptom. And so when we're able to take that step back and lay it all out in this diagnostic period, we can show them, hey, the problem is not here where you think it is on the result. The problem is up here.
Sure.
So this is where the problem is. So
okay.
The reason you're frustrated is because you're trying to fix the symptom. The cause is way back up here. So let's go fix this thing, and you'll see your symptoms getting better.
Right. I got you. And if you don't find that cause, you can throw all kind of money and all kind of time trying to dress up that one challenge that you're looking at. I mean, interesting. I love that approach. Now, let's kind of take a little different path and talk about some symptoms. So we got some symptoms with this coronavirus stuff, man, dude. It is every leader that I've talked to, I love picking the brains of folks to figure out what their biggest takeaway, what their biggest challenge was, what their biggest learning in the process has been through this pandemic. How has the corona pandemic impacted your business directly?
Well, interestingly, it's actually created some demand for us.
Really? Okay.
We see manufacturing companies, and I'm curious to hear what you're seeing, but we kind of see them in two buckets. So
okay.
Bucket one, the pandemic has created extra demand, so they are running wide open.
Yes.
I can't make enough stuff.
Right.
The other one is, hey, the pandemic has negatively impacted our demand. And so, how do I how do I recover? How do I keep my revenue up? How do I
Mhm.
survive this until business comes back to normal? Well, we don't even know what normal is.
Right.
But in both cases, they're looking for speed and efficiency and volume and cost savings. And how do you work together? Because in both cases, this situation has exposed problems that were probably always there,
Mhm.
but now there's a spotlight on them because
Yeah.
it's a pain
It's
point where they
amplified. Yeah.
used to be aware of it. Now it's hurting.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. The conversations that I've had with manufacturers, like you said, it kind of fits in those two buckets. If you're making plexiglass or firearms, like our friends down at Daniel Defense, you
Yep.
know, you're busy. I
Through
mean,
the
you're
roof.
24/7. If you're making, I got some buddies that are in the ammo business, and they're like, they can't. There's a global shortage of primers that make bullets go. Right? If you're not familiar with that space, but it is like fascinating to see how people are responding. And like you said, it's now time. If it was a little bit of a hiccup in the past, but now it's magnified. The good and the bad, I think, has been magnified through this. And now my business personally has been a train wreck. I mean, I'll just be pretty honest with you. I say that in jest, but I mean, we were a live events business, and there have been no live events. We've done 2 events since February, live events, but we're creating, and I'm thankful. We had a little chat about this pre-show, but I am so thankful that we are blessed to live in a country that I can choose to change paths, and I
Yep.
can choose which way to pivot. I can choose to go, get a job at the McDonald's and ask, do you want fries with that? Or I can choose, just playing, but I can choose to figure out how I can better serve my community. And we've got the technology and the resources that are available in America that other places don't have to be able to pivot to say, okay, so if my foundation of my organization is to help support and grow manufacturing in the state of Georgia and help leaders learn best practices from each other, if that's the foundation, if the tools have to change, but the mission doesn't. So the
That's right.
mission stays the same. We just use new tools. So that, like this podcast series, man, I want to give you a plug nickel for me having a podcast 2 years ago. Our good friend Scott Luton that runs Supply Chain Now Radio, great guy. He's been leaning on me for years to embrace this platform, and I'm thankful that he has been patient with me and has been a good resource for me to learn the ropes in podcasting. But it's we're so blessed. It can be tough times, it can be great times, but we're so blessed to be able to live in a country where we have the freedoms to do the things that we want to do. And I mean, that's a big deal. And a lot of times people take that for granted.
Sure.
But and talking about new products and new services and stuff, I mean, this member spotlight's a big deal. I mean, and we're able to showcase great leaders like yourself and sharing best practices. What are some of the new products that you guys have got? I think you touched on that just a little bit, but let's dig into that some more.
Yeah. So, super excited about this. We've got a new product, and it's been in development for quite a while, but we call it Traction.
Traction. Okay.
Traction is training plus action.
Huh. I like that. Cool.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we're
Wait.
proud of it too. Look at that. I got it on my sleeve here. If you could see the
Yeah.
Traction logo, there it is.
Sweet. Cool. Now, where'd you come up with that grand idea? What's the difference in Traction and some of the other tools that you've had in the past?
Well, so we get requested a lot for training, right? Lean Six Sigma is a popular topic. People want to learn Lean Six Sigma. And what we heard from our clients consistently was, look, ineffective training, expensive training with no return on investment, and or a consultant that comes in and does the work, but when the consultant leaves, the solution leaves with them. Right.
I have heard that a bazillion times. I've heard it once. I've heard it a million times. Right.
Yeah. And so as we were thinking about, all right, our clients are asking us for training, we want to help them. So how do we do this? So we built this system where I'm going to train and do at the same time. Right. So again, back to the military, see one, do one, teach one.
Correct.
So we will take the client's people at their shop floor in their classroom, and we will train them on a Lean or Six Sigma topic. We
Okay.
will then immediately go to the shop floor and put our hands on an area and apply that topic.
Okay.
So we're fixing the client's problems. We're training the people, on their mind. Hey, this is how to think about this. This is how this tool or methodology works. And then let's go put it into practice.
Right.
So if you've seen that learning pyramid, when you get to application, you're 95% kind of retention levels.
Right.
And so the client, when you talk about ineffective training, well, I'm training and I'm doing it at the same time. So your people are applying what we're learning. So the ineffective question goes away.
Right.
The measurable return on investment, we're fixing the problems at your shop floor in your real space with your real people. So we can measure the return on investment, and our average is 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, because we're showing your people how to do the work and how it fits together, and so they understand what we're solving, when we do disengage, they know how to sustain it.
Okay.
Right. So when we disengage and we leave, the solution doesn't fall apart because their people are the folks who put it into place. They solve the problem, they use the tools, they use the methodology, and they put it in. So the 3 biggest problems that we heard from our clients, we have solved with this one approach.
Okay. Cool. Now, the people that are actually doing the work, the people that you're hands-on, kind of walking through that process, what is it that they take away? What do you hear from the people on the shop floor? When you go through this training traction program? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, it's been remarkably positive. So, we talked about leaders don't often have coaches, the business leaders. Shop floor people don't often have coaches either.
Okay.
And so, they've been dealing with something, or they've been working around something, or they've created some secret sauce with a spreadsheet because the problem doesn't work, right? We call it secret sauce. I don't know what you call it. But, they get a chance to interact with someone who is truly a subject matter expert in this area,
Mm-hmm.
and break the problem down so that they feel more confident. They feel a lot more ownership because, hey, I solved this problem. I've been living with that thing for 2 years and now it's better.
Right.
Right. What else could I solve in my daily world?
Oh, so that's where you bring that engagement in.
Absolutely. So as the leader, right, who makes this investment, and it is an investment of time and money and resources, but I'm building an army of problem solvers.
Nice.
And so all of those kind of little nitpicky things that somebody's going to bother me with,
Mm-hmm.
over time, you can delegate that down into the organization so that those folks who are on the front lines can solve a bunch of their own problems.
Okay.
They do it the same way. They use a methodology. They've got experience solving problems. And so it on the people side, right, even though we're focused on improving processes, on the people side, it strengthens that relationship because now I'm confident in solving a problem if I'm a frontline leader. If I'm the business leader, I'm confident that I've got problem solvers.
Right.
So now we can engage a little bit differently, and we can talk about our core values and our core behaviors and the things that we're dealing with.
I got you, man. That's cool. I love that. Because if you leave as the problem solver and take that with you, then it stops. That's where I hear so many companies, work through challenges is like, man, my problem solver was here and great. It maybe gave him some good ideas, but when that left with him, and if you can figure out a way and you have figured out a way that you can empower teams to be able to solve their own problems and leave that knowledge with them, man, that's magic. I love
Absolutely.
it. I love it. Now, we talked about a bunch of things. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the crew? Now, we've got a wide variety of people from all different walks of life, primarily in the manufacturing space. I keep getting corrected not to focus just on Georgia because we've already seen we've got listeners from all over the world that are plugging into these podcasts. So, what insights anything else you'd like to share with the manufacturing community and specifically the Manufacturing News Network family that we hadn't touched on?
Well, I think the takeaway that I want to impart is you've got really great people in your organization, right? And whatever your culture is like, and I'm not saying it's good or it's bad, but whatever it's like, recognize you've got some great people and make sure that you're getting the most out of them. Mm-hmm. And you're giving the most to them with good leadership and sound communication practices. That's kind of the core of where we start is if you're not leading your people well, you can't expect them to buy in. You can't expect them to be committed. You can't expect them to be engaged. So it starts in the mirror. It starts with you. And how are you leading your organization? Because you've got some really talented people who really care, and
Right.
make sure you're supporting them and loving them through this tough time that we're in.
Awesome. Awesome. That's good stuff to share. Good stuff to share. I appreciate that. Now, if folks want to get a hold to you, again, they're listening from a variety of different platforms. Some are watching on Zoom live, and some are going to be watching the archives, and some are just going to be listening to audio. So tell me a little bit about how folks can best get a hold to you.
Absolutely. So lots of ways, right? So our website is www.tes.run.
Okay.
You can email me.
Run. Okay.
tes.run, run-to-your-potential.run. We're excited about that. You can email me, Beau at tes.run, and that's Beau. And certainly connect with me on LinkedIn, Beau Groover. I'm pretty visible out there. I've got a bunch of connections, and I love interacting and connecting with people and learning from the folks who are out there doing stuff.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Are there any particular incentives that you might want to share with some of our crew, some of the Manufacturing News Network community or GMA?
Absolutely, man. I mean, we're all in this together, Jason, right? And you and I have talked a lot since this pandemic situation started, and I very much appreciate your friendship and your counsel and your mentorship. And as we're all in this together, we have a free 30-minute kind of coaching session.
Okay.
So if any of your listeners have got a problem, they've got something they're stuck on, they got something that's just kind of gnawing at them, and they need somebody that is external to their situation to use as a sounding board or to get some different perspective. Love for folks to reach out and find some time and block some time out with me, and let's have a conversation.
All right. Well, fantastic, Beau. And as I wrap up every conversation that I have in large meetings and one-on-ones and everything, I did want to ask one other question for you. Going through this process, there's a lot of companies that are engaging GMA in different ways in this new digital platform that we're working through, the Member Show Spotlight. What's your favorite part about what we've done today, or takeaway for folks that might be looking at this as an option for them?
My favorite takeaway is the small chance that you and I shared a nugget that somebody can take and do something with.
Nice.
I got, and you'll see this post on LinkedIn. I'll probably do it tomorrow, Jason. I got a note on LinkedIn from a lady that was an employee of mine 23 years ago. Haven't talked to her in 23 years. And she sent me this nice note and said, "Man, you impacted my life. And I just never took the time to reach out, but thank you so much. Our time together really changed my life."
Wow.
And I mean, I almost got choked. I was like, holy, this is why we do what we do, right? I can help another human being. And that small validation from 23 years ago that I had an impact on somebody's life. I mean, it's like, my hope is, to your point, that somebody heard something today that's like, that's good. I can do something. That's my
turn a corner for them. I love it. I love it more than I can say. Well, guys, this has been another fantastic episode of Manufacturing News Network. If you're not, if you hadn't done it yet, I'd encourage you to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. You can do it on Stitcher and Spotify and Apple Podcast and even iTunes. And several more to come. So if you hadn't registered and subscribed, do that and share it with a friend. This is again a great platform to be able to communicate best practices and share leadership, industry insights on what's going on and how we can be better as a community and working together. With that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this session up. Beau, thanks again for your leadership, your support, engagement, and sharing the insights that you did today. We'll look forward to seeing you guys on on the next episode. And it's been another great day at GMA. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Jason. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.